Hello everyone, I'm Jacqueline Kennedy. Just kidding, I'm Tori, and I got this cool dress from Rent the Runway. Al's late, and of course Kelly has to videotape him trying to cross a snowy road because Al runs like this. So now no one's in the room, and it's just me and you. All right, what's going on, everyone? You got it on tape?
Oh yeah.
Okay, good.
He's climbing over walls.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Albert Jackson, everybody. Cool. So we have a really good show for you guys today. We have very interesting discussions, and we need to get your take on everything. So please let me know where you're coming from. Top story, guys. The Polar Vortex is happening, and it's real. Are you staying warm out there? Let us know where you're writing us from, DBL Nation. Yesterday was the really bad one, but it's going to continue forever, and it's never going to end, and it feels like we're in the apocalypse. I will say this. They now have a Kentucky governor, I believe, and I will look into this, has made a remark about us missing school. And Al Roker, the amazing weatherman, has responded. Hi!
Hello!
Hey, can I get one of those shirts?
Yeah.
Let me apologize in advance for my behavior.
These will be on
That's
my website,
cool.
so yeah.
I need one.
That's so cute. I love that. So we're just talking. I'm, by the way, Jacqueline Kennedy today in my
You
outfit.
are. I really like
I
this.
do too, guys.
Yeah.
I don't know what the back looks like. What is it?
Not good.
What's wrong?
It's just nothing.
What do you
It's just
mean?
the same as it does.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was like, okay. Oh, yeah, I can see it now.
Yes.
It looks really bad. Okay, I wanted to give you guys some information and tell Al, because I'm not sure he knows this, that Kentucky Governor Matt Bevin, do you know what he said?
No.
If you're watching us from Kentucky, let us know. Write us in and say this. This is what he said. Come on now, Bevin said about the cold. There's no ice going with it or any snow. I mean, what happened to America? We're getting soft. We're getting soft. And then he added, we're being only slightly facetious, but it does concern me. It says, if life is hard, you can curl up in a fetal position somewhere in a warm place and just wait until it stops being hard. And that isn't reality. It just isn't.
This is from somebody that's probably taken a car service for the last 10 years
Such
of his
a good
life.
point.
It's like, look, everybody wants to talk. First of all, the soft thing is rhetoric that we're starting to hear.
Yeah.
It's the way to address liberals. It's the way to call somebody
Snowflakey.
the P word. It's the way to describe. We're getting
Pundit?
soft. Yes, yes. And so what we need to do is we need to understand like what that where that's coming from. He's appealing to his base because that's what old people say. These kids have it too
soft
easy.
these days.
You say that until a bus goes sliding off a bridge with 57th graders in it. Do you think that like the school district doesn't want to have kids? They get their funding from having kids in school.
And safely.
And they're going to have to make those days up anyway. So the fact that they're taking these extreme measures for kids that may think about how many times when you were a little kid, if you didn't have a parent at home, that you left your key or something like that. If it's so cold that kids cannot be exposed to these temperatures, you're putting them in harm's way.
Speaking of that, we have 8 people dead already, including at least people that, again, couldn't get in, didn't have a key.
Right.
Literally within 8 minutes, we're getting frostbite situation here.
Right.
So this is what Al Roker wrote back. This is on TV. Al Roker's become a clapback kind of a guy, if you don't know.
Yes.
He wrote, by the way, I just have to say, this nitwit governor in Kentucky, oh, we're weak. These are kids who are going to be in sub-zero wind chills. And then he said, I'm just glad you're not a teacher.
Yes, exactly. It's easy to tweet from your warm leather desk chair.
Yep,
Yes.
you're absolutely right.
They lose power too.
That's true. There's no heater. There's no, as Kelly was
Well, I'm
saying,
sure
there's
he has
no
a backup plan for if power goes out and they need to reschedule 800 kids
I
to get
bet
them
that
home
he doesn't.
while their parents are at work.
Exactly.
So people are writing us. John Venturini says it's a beautiful, balmy 11 degrees here in southeastern Pennsylvania.
Stop bragging, John.
Break out the Hawaiian tropic, he said. Cool T-shirt says, I like Al's shirt. Okay, guys, again, this was going to be my moment with my Jackie Kennedy dress.
You are super
You kind of
Jackie.
usurped
Now, would it be too
it.
much? And Kelly on Ashes, would pearls be too much with
Yes.
this? I don't
Yes.
always.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even
No.
a formal event?
Well, it's got this lip here,
Uh-huh.
so it wouldn't lay right.
Oh, yeah, that makes
But
sense.
it could be like a cool chunky pearl. Would be
Yeah,
cool.
it's
Ooh.
long.
Like a chunky,
Ooh,
like a mid?
Like a Marge Simpson?
Okay, well, you've ruined that. All right.
Video. There's a video.
Oh, we have a video of the Polar Vortex. Oh, yeah, here we go. Take a look at this video. Lake Michigan and Chicago. I saw this. You can see how cold it is. Steam is coming off of the lake here. Leo's going to roll that for you guys. It looks like, and I know my friend Al here is a big Game of Thrones. He's seen it at my house.
Yes.
The White Walkers are
It
approaching.
really is.
Let's just be honest.
I guess all those kids niggas in Chicago are getting soft too. Come on, guys.
Yeah.
Trudge through the frozen lake.
The tundra.
Yes. Stop,
What are you, a penguin?
Stop with the soft talk. Let me see this guy. Let me see this guy with his shirt off. Let's see who's soft.
Yeah, Kentucky Bevan.
Yeah.
That's not his
Watch
name.
that side fat.
Mr. Bevan. They say frostbite is still a huge concern. Thousands of flights and train
And really
services.
quickly, Kelly,
Yeah.
didn't your boyfriend Chris get frostbite? I thought
Yeah.
I overheard him say that.
He, yeah.
Look
So
how
he's
pretty
a
she looks. How pretty
photographer.
she
Kelly,
looks.
you are glowing
The
today,
Shayna
girl.
Ponum with this one.
Yeah.
The
New
Shayna-
foundation.
She
so
looks
DeRay
so
has
pretty.
me wearing a new makeup.
It's
so
better.
I think that's
I like
It's
it.
much better.
Yeah.
So Chris used to be a photographer. Well, he is a photographer still, but he used to go out in Denver in the early morning. So
Oh,
no matter what temperature it was, he had to get out there and do those live shots. And one day he forgot his gloves, and so there was nothing he could do
Frostbite?
about it. Yeah, on his fingers.
Such
Oh,
Really
Lord.
gross.
Such a
It's
tough
really
dude.
gross.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
In other news, Phoenix is still warm. Rainy, you're killing me. Every morning, Rainy, you're killing me.
I really, really,
Killing me,
like
Rainy.
Phoenix.
I love Phoenix.
Yes.
My in-laws lived on the Biltmore on the 7th hole, and I would always go 4, and then he's like, "You got to sit down, Tori." So we have a very interesting news. Also, Charles Manson, a follower, is being recommended for parole. I want to give you guys some background and let Al tell you what he thinks. The California panel of a parole board has recommended that Charles Manson follower Leslie Van Houten be paroled after serving more than 4 decades in prison. Now, she was 69 years old right now, and she could be released soon if the governor agrees. Now, here's the deal. The jury sentenced her to death. Okay, she was part of the group that killed a wealthy grocer and his wife Rosemary, part of the cult that killed Sharon Tate, who was pregnant at the time, and others. Horrific, right? Many say were brainwashed by Charles Manson. They said she should be put to death. The California got rid of the death penalty, so the parole board said, you know what? She's lived a model citizen. She should be released. Jerry Brown, the governor of California, said no twice. So now it's Gavin Newsom. So it's up to the parole board and then Gavin Newsom to see should she be released. So we have a tag board for Leo. Leo, Van Houten was among the followers of Manson's murderous cult who stabbed to death all these people. We want to show you guys a little bit about her. Do you think she should be paroled?
That's a tough one. I just my question is Sharon Tate and LeBlanc, are they getting their family members back? I don't know. I don't think they're ever coming back, and I think there are certain crimes that are unforgivable. And if she's been a model citizen, I think that she could. I would be with some kind of release program where she talked to people about becoming involved in cults. I mean, we saw it with that documentary Wild Country.
Yeah, that was crazy.
And I don't want to get off subject with this, but it's so strange to me that if I right now say that I am Jesus Christ, I could find at least 200,000 people around the world that would believe me. And so it's just like, it's these random guys. It's like,
And she was 19 at the time, so does that count?
You're a fifth of the way through your life. Probably, at that time, a fourth of the way through your life. And it's like, dude, if you're in a cult that makes you give your money up and makes you dress silly, that's one thing. That's your prerogative. But when you start taking people's lives, you forever alter the course of that family's history on this planet. And I think that there are some things that are unforgivable. And if you've done 50 years, then tuck that chin and do another 20 for me.
Yeah, and now there are rules in the Supreme Court that say you actually don't have the brain capacity until you're about 22. So any juveniles being sentenced to life in prison without parole have been vacated because of the Supreme Court. So do you think it's fair that a 19-year-old be held to that same standard as maybe her brain wasn't developed fully? Or do you think the Tate say, hey, sorry, my daughter...
It was developed enough for her to go to that house and murder a couple people.
A lot of people
so
say that.
her brain was working fine.
Yeah, so let us know what you guys think. It's a big deal. She has been a model citizen. But again, Jerry Brown, the governor, has twice denied her release. And Gavin Newsom is now the governor. Now, there's no upside to releasing her. That's the thing.
Yeah, and plus...
what's Gavin Newsom going to gain by releasing
Shawshank Redemption, she's going to get out, get a job at the grocery store, threaten to shoot the manager, and then, go to that weird hotel.
Remember Brooks was here?
Brooks was here.
My husband's name is Brooks.
Yes.
So when I was married, I was like... Brooks was here. Okay, we're going to move on to the fifth host now. Should billionaires
very timely reference.
exist? This is very interesting. We're getting a ton of comments already. So this is the question, guys. Trending today from Huffington Post. Should billionaires exist? It's always been a big subject of debate. Senator Elizabeth Warren, if you guys don't know, from Massachusetts, she is running for president, and Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the youngest person elected. Have you seen her before? They want a 2% tax on wealth over $50 million and 3% over 1 billion. So they want to, Representative AOC wants to increase the marginal tax rate on those earning more than 10 million. So their ideas started a mainstream conversation that went viral. Marshall Steinbaum, a research director at the left-leaning Roosevelt Institute, says we don't need billionaires. The economy is done better without billionaires. So for him, higher taxes on the wealthy means freeing up money for everyone else. So it's not like you couldn't be a billionaire, but you'd be taxed so high that you wouldn't retain that status. So how do you feel? Man, you guys are talking like crazy, so I'm going to get to that.
It's such an interesting thing because, you know, we are a capitalistic society, and I think there are a lot of benefits to that. I think that the reason we have Uber and Lyft is because of capitalism. Somebody took a taxi, it stunk, the guy was rude, he was late, and they were like, there's a better way. And we now have things because of capitalism. I think if we have certain things that allow people to just stay in place, and if, Tori, you know that no matter what, you're going to make $39,000 a year, and I know that if I'm a doctor or a snowplower, I'm going to make $39,000 a year. I don't know if there's a lot of incentive for us to move forward as a society. And if we're going to do that, if you do develop something that allows you to make that kind of money, I would say that what you've done has probably been worth it. I mean, people would look at somebody like LeBron James that's well on his way to becoming a billionaire, but I would make the argument that LeBron James is underpaid because LeBron James, whenever he goes, think about this, when LeBron James, since he was a rookie, he's been in the league 16, 17 years, every time he goes to a city, and I saw this in my own hometown of Cleveland, shout out 2016 world champs, what's up, but every time LeBron James goes to a city, the building sells out. The parking lot sell out. The bars around it sell out. The cab drivers. Everybody benefits from this one human being being in town. There are 41 away games a year. There are 41 home games. So that means 41 nights a year. Anybody that owns Billy's Pub in downtown Cleveland is going to clean up and put his kids through college because LeBron James is playing the night, whether it's the Hornets or the Lakers. So there are people that do generate that kind of money. And if I found out that a guy the person that invented something I use all the time, orbits, you know, if he's a billionaire, I'll be like, thank you. I've used your service for 12 years, and it's been very convenient.
But what about people out, and this is, I'm going to get to your comments right now, and I want to just pose this to you. Billionaires that can pay people, there were millionaires, but paid people to get loopholes, so then they became billionaires, and they honestly didn't deserve it. And there are a lot of them that aren't paying their fair share. It's less about should there be billionaires as to are they paying their fair share of the tax rate. So I want to read what you guys say, and I want you to respond. Vincent Pepe from Facebook, no billionaires. We need to cap wealth. When you have that much money, your wealth grows without having to do any work or contribute to society, while the rest of us grow poor every day. The trick is to convince Republicans, and yes, Democrats too, that allowing an individual to obtain unlimited wealth is obscene. Is that anti-American, though?
I don't know if it's anti-American. I really worry about brushing anything, painting anything with that brush. I will say that he raises some great points, and I will say this, let's be honest, and anybody watching this kind of knows that this country was bought and paid for a long time ago. Wealth is consolidated within families, and it's money that you can't blow. Your nephew with a drug problem couldn't go through it in 100 years. There are people that just own things. It used to be kind of like railroads and all that kind of stuff, and then we graduated.
You mean like the Vanderbilts, the Carnegies,
those people that just have all the money, and so it's like us fighting over whatever scraps they leave.
But isn't that sort of the whole
point? It's
point?
kind of unfair, but I mean, this is...
Well, Joe, you know, that Joe Clark says there's nothing wrong with being rich. The problem is that they're gouging the middle class to get some of that wealth when they could easily afford to treat their employees better, and they could certainly pay more taxes and still have more than they could ever spend in a lifetime. It's about the way they treat the subject as if there's never enough. That's a really good point.
Well, I would say that the kind of personality type that drives you to become a millionaire is probably also the personality type that doesn't have a lot of compassion for a single mom working somewhere within that company. They probably just don't care.
But then you think of J.K. Rowling, right? She became a billionaire and then became the first billionaire to lose that status due to charitable deduction. So you think about people like freaking Bill Gates and the Melinda Gates Foundation giving away their billions to solve malaria, to solve things like that. So there are good people. Warren Buffett's going to give away his entire fortune and not leave it to his kids.
I know his kids are like, what?
Hello. Emma says, with all the social issues in the USA, due to rising economic equality, yes, billionaires are immoral. If you earned $10,000 a week take home, so $500,000 a year within 2 weeks leave, it would take you 2,000 years to have earned your first billion. Have we lost all perspective?
I mean, I definitely understand that. I just worry about telling people what they can and can't make.
I agree with you. I agree with you.
But I do think, I think we're skating around the issue of like, why don't we fix these loopholes? I mean,
that's a good point too. It's like, what? Maybe the lens is on the wrong thing.
Right.
David Scott Cruz says, who and by what right, by what code, and by what standard gets to decide how much wealth a person is allowed to have?
Yeah, David, I'm a billionaire. You don't see me throwing it in people's face.
He's not a billionaire. Are you a billionaire?
Yes.
I don't think you are.
Share.
Why did I buy lunch yesterday? Kimberly, D.A. Gardner says they are modern day kings and queens who buy our politicians and news organizations. The common people don't stand a chance. So here's the problem. You think about America and you think about Adam Locke and you think about this idea of the invisible hand of economy. Capitalism, Ayn Rand, you're supposed to let the market do what the market does. That's capitalism. And if a billionaire takes a hold of it and does it, good for him or her. That's the whole idea. But have we gotten to a point where the cap and the gap is so vastly different, there's no actual way to actually catch up? And is that fair? And if so, do we change it from a capitalist society to something else?
Well, I think that we already are kind of something else. I mean, we do have a lot of aspects of socialism in our country that no one wants to talk about.
Right.
But Meals on Wheels,
ambulances,
the Red Cross. It's so interesting how we use socialism almost like the S word, but it's like a lot of people that you know and love benefit from socialism. Medicaid comes to mind. It's like all these things that you need whenever we see a town devastated by a hurricane or flattened by a tornado or an earthquake or a wildfire. We are first to applaud our first responders, but that's socialism. Technically, if we were completely capitalistic, we're like, hey, you shouldn't have moved there. But we don't do that because we have a heart and we take care of each other.
That's true.
Don't be scared to understand that there are different aspects to our society. It seems like only the economy is the only time that you're allowed to run wild and consolidate wealth and gather as much as you want.
Well, John says on YouTube, what about John Paul Getty in 1957 being the first billionaire, or the DuPonts? What sort of incentive would there be for innovation and capitalism if we do something like this? Slippery slope. So if you put a cap on it, which I think what John's saying is, then what if I'm a kid that looks in the mirror and says, well, I'm going to create an empire and a mogul and change American history, and I can't do that now because there's a limit to what I can do.
Do you think people will stop pursuing their dreams because they can't be a billionaire?
Well, what's the incentive?
To become a person that's got $999 million in the bank.
I mean, I do think there's something about Americans and their goal setting and $1 billion to them. If that's their goal, they're gonna. I see no American reason to put a cap on that. What I do see is an American reason to tax them more likely. But Kimberly says it's such a small percentage of people that would be getting an increase on their taxes. I don't understand why people are so upset about it. And that's how I feel, including the Billionaires Club that sent a letter saying we're totally fine getting taxed more. The problem is some people feel that's completely anti-American. And then Dora says if you earned it legally, yes, you should be a billionaire or a millionaire.
Well, didn't the Kennedys make a lot of their money through bootlegging?
Like moonshine?
Yes.
I think so, yeah. Yes. Oh, I'm sure.
I would say a lot of
people did.
There's no clean money. There's no
you're saying there's no clean money.
Legal way to make $1 billion.
J.K. Rowling did
something. Yes, she did, yes.
You're right. Is there a clean way to be a billionaire? Is Bill Gates a clean, or is it all loopholes?
I mean, you think about all the pharmaceutical companies and think about how many people that we've lost due to like Dexatrim. And I remember like there used to be all these drugs that were on the market. What did Anna Nicole Smith use? The Trim Spa. Remember all these like weird drugs, and then Vioxx, and they're now off the market, but they made millions of dollars before they did. They got sued a couple times, but
they still made their money.
Yeah, they still made their money. So I would make the argument that we need to kind of step out of La La Land and understand that everybody's hands are a little bit dirty or filthy.
Well, Rainey says if we focus efforts on closing those loopholes, there would be so much more money for social programs without having to raise taxes. And I think what Al said is so smart. It's not put a cap on the billionaires. It's put a cap on the loopholes. And that's scary to a lot of people with power. When you have money in this country, you have power. It's an oligarchy, a lot of people feel. So when you start to put a cap on those people, you start to resist people with all the power. So that's where it gets really tricky of, can AOC and Elizabeth Warren fight the fight? Can they break it down?
No, they don't have the financial backing to do that.
And that's a fair thing to say.
And I'm going to go get dressed so we can do our
Bye.
Bye. Love you.
Everybody, isn't he fabulous? Get in here. All right, so Simon Hutchinson, having $1 billion is obscene. There are people starving. How can they live with themselves? So really, really back and forth with you guys.
Oh my God, I'm not used to being on this side.
I know, it's weird.
Should we switch?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That's
Talk about Tori's dress.
old habits die hard.
Cool shirt.
Even though we both want one.
Oh, I do. It's so cool.
It is cool. Al Jackson is just cool. I like having him here in break
His
room.
head is a little big. Let's take it down a notch. I think he's fine. Rainey, fix the issues of ignoring them and opening door for more issues, says Naomi. You guys all sort of agree of what I'm seeing in that instead of increasing the taxes, we should fix the loopholes. B.H. Brady speaking about Van Hoyten says, no, she should not get out. If she was set for the death penalty, then she shouldn't benefit just because they changed the law. I tend to agree with B.H. Brady on this.
I think so too. I agree too.
If you were sentenced to death by a jury, you can't get out.
Yeah,
that's the
and
opposite.
I don't think it matters that she was 18. I mean, your point about your brain not fully developing until you're 22, I understand that, but I just think she killed people. I mean, I just don't think it's fair for her to be let out. I don't care if she's a model
if you make a
prisoner or
mistake
not.
at 18, that's horrible. Let's say you're drunk driving by accident at 18, you hit someone.
That's different
you spend
to
the
me,
rest,
I think.
Oh, that's because it's malicious. You're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's not
you're
like
right.
I'm gonna stab someone.
Let's say you get in a bar fight and I'm just saying at 18, 50 years later. But I agree with you.
It is hard. It is hard to think
guys.
about, but I think about the families, and she did something wrong. Like, I understand she was only 19, but it wasn't like she made a mistake by getting behind the wheel and killing someone, drunk driving. You know what I mean? Like,
but has she paid her debt to society? And to me,
That's
because
the
the jury
question.
said death, no. But again, the Supreme Court ruled, and a lot of cases were overturned because of that.
Because of that. Yeah, that's
kids
interesting.
too young
That
were
is
being
really
put
interesting.
away. Kimberly says your eyes look gorgeous. I love your
Thank
black
you.
eyeliner.
I copied Ginger Z today. I was watching GMA, and I really liked her eye makeup, and I said, Jeray, help me look like her.
That's so good.
So I'm going to send her a screenshot and say, Ginger Z wore her eye makeup like this. So
that's
I
good.
wear my eye makeup like this.
I like Ginger
She's
Z.
a meteorologist on GMA.
Oh, a
yes,
meteorologist,
if you don't know,
yes.
I really like her a lot.
That's
so she was
cute.
out reporting in Times Square because it was really cold, and she looked cute. With a little beanie.
So I have a problem, guys. We have breakfast burritos, and I didn't know that sauces had come, so I ate a full burrito without knowing that. So my question is, do I get another burrito or sauce it, or just chips and dip it the rest of the day?
The sauces are more made for the burritos, I think. And we got burritos because it's the first day of sweeps. So this is our big month where we give you all the good things. We always give you all the good things.
We have some good, juicy
stuff. We had some really... Tori, what did you get to do yesterday? I know you can give a little hint.
The governor.
No big deal. The first openly gay governor, Jared Polis, is awesome.
And he was so sweet. He followed me on Twitter because we're super close.
Okay,
now.
I have a serious question, though. Did you say, hello, governor?
No, I didn't.
Because I know you said you were going to, and I was kind of nervous about that.
When I walked in, I said it, and then they kind of like looked at me, and I was like, oh, that's not going to fly, is it?
I bet it would have at the end.
But he was very,
he's
very
so
calm.
cool.
And I asked him a lot about your questions, guys. We asked about homelessness. We asked about traffic. We asked about polar climate change. We asked about Trump 2020.
Yep.
Who he wants to win. Jussie Smollett and what
Jussie,
happened.
I was going to say Jussie. Yep.
Very, very, very interesting take on all of these things. So we're going to be teasing it out, but it's a good interview.
And Arash, our producer, hooked us up with that interview.
Arash
so thank you,
killed it.
Arash.
Yes.
Yeah, we can't wait to see that air. I believe that's coming next week, or is that tomorrow?
I think Friday it's coming up.
Oh my God,
tomorrow.
that's tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Can't
So
wait
it's
to
really
see
exciting.
it. Yeah.
And then John says, watch what happens with those breakfast burritos. It may end up on Bo's copy again. It's true. I spilled on Bo's copy and then ran away.
Tori, yeah, it's fine.
And then to the whole show, he was like...
Yeah, he was like very upset about it because he couldn't see his notes.
I was
Which
like,
fair.
it's some beans and cheese.
The beans blocked his notes.
It
for
didn't.
The show.
They were not opaque. They were pinto.
Anyway, DBL Nation, keep sending us your comments. We're here every day at 9:30 Mountain Standard Time. We love when you join us. We love when you send us your comments, so keep doing that. Today, we're going to do a special little extended interview of Tori for Future Man. So take a look.
We are?
DBL, in today's Chatting with the Stars, two of Future Man's main characters dish about season 2, which is such a good show. It just started streaming on Hulu today. But first, here's a look at some of the wild antics the cast is getting into now as they try to prevent the extinction of humanity.
Up.
Hey.
Die resistance. Ninja Star. I give that entrance 2 stars.
Eliza Coop and Derek Wilson, thank you so much for joining DBL, and congratulations, honestly, and mazel tov for the 2nd season of Future Man. Bravo. show.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, the show picks up in the year 2162. Eliza, you play Tiger, and Derek, you play Wolf. Now, is it safe to say that this season is going to get even more bizarre than the first?
Yeah, it gets way more bizarre.
I mean, it depends on what your standards are.
That's true.
yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
I think we're allowed even more license in season 2 because it takes place in the future, so we can be completely creative with what the world is.
It's amazing. Now, Seth Rogen, who is one of the producers of Future Man, actually makes an appearance this season. Can you guys tell us more about his role in the show?
He plays a man named Susan, and that's just a normal name in the future.
Normal.
He runs a prison.
Runs a prison of sorts.
Susan runs the prison.
That's
Okay.
it. Yeah.
Little tough Susan. Yeah.
Eliza, your character is a biotic. So in other words, someone who has been genetically engineered. Now, do either of you believe that humans will have to be modified to survive in the future?
I feel they already have been.
Yeah, I think it's happening.
Well, we've already modified so much about ourselves, whether it be aesthetically or internally.
I mean, we're in Los Angeles too. So.
Yeah.
I was there for 10 years.
Yeah.
I modified everything. I completely understand. If both of you could choose one item to put into a time capsule to be opened 100 years into the future, what would it be and why?
I would put a journal that I've written about this time.
Oh, wow. That's good.
Handwritten.
A helium balloon.
Oh, God.
Oh, whoa. Tell me
That
more.
just so checks out. It just checks out that you would say that.
Just so when it opens, you get a nice balloon pop up.
It would be a deflated balloon. People would think it was something else. You're giving them a rubber.
I think it was great. It was the thought that counts too. I think the journal and the balloon is fantastic. Eliza and Derek, I'm a huge fan of the show, and I really do appreciate you guys taking the time out to talk with DBL. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you.
you.
Thanks.
It's a yellow balloon.
Oh, God.
Oh,
I was
Lord.
picturing red.